Welcome to the Podawan podcast. Today we're going to talk about Star Wars Underworld, Kenobi rumors, and Star Wars Rebels sequel coming in hot. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Podawan podcast. Today we got a slew of news and rumors out there for Star Wars. Obviously Star Wars, and there's some footage. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. So we're gonna kick it off though today with the actor Alan Harris. R.I.P. to Alan Harris. He played Bossk in the original trilogy. Um, Ollie, I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously sad for Star Wars fans. It's a few of these are unfortunately coming as we get further and further away from that era. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was in the 70s, 80s, so if they were older at that time. But yeah, cool character. Didn't get really used a ton in the movies, but they've expounded on him quite a bit in books and in other canon material. So definitely a neat character, and it's a sad loss.
Yeah, it's a sad loss. Actually for Boba Fett, he was the one that they modeled the body armor.
Yeah, I saw that picture. I was wondering what that was. Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't even know that, but yeah, there's a bunch of, one of the notable ones, Anthony Daniels, who plays C-3PO. He reached out with his condolences and just a sad loss for the Star Wars universe this week. So
Yeah.
not to start our episode off on a sad note, but just want to mention that.
Yeah.
But we'll kick things into a different gear. The next piece that we have. Del Rey recently announced that Thrawn, Chaos Rising, the new book that's written by Timothy Zahn, is going to be delayed until October 6th of this year. It was originally slated for, I believe it was slated for a May release. Yeah, It was one of the first. I believe it's one of the first books that was supposed to be coming out this year.
Yeah, Queen Shadow, is that out yet?
No, that's going to be the first one. That's in February.
Random ones, but yeah, Thrawn was right up there,
and
towards the early ones.
And I believe, let's see. So after that, then. So in June, Shadowfall, which is a sequel to the Alphabet Squadron book, that's going to be that'll be the next in line for the canon book. So, yeah, kind of disappointing. It's just, which means it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. I don't,
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just. I think I read something that it just didn't work with their schedule or their editing schedule. I'm not an author, but I'm sure those things have, like in the when the TV shows get bumped. I think it's a business and creative thing,
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it has anything to do with like creative stuff. It sounds like it's like purely just the timing of it. That's what.
Yeah, and I'm not. I mean, maybe I'd be worried about it if it was like an author with no background or something like that. But Zahn's been doing it forever, so I'm not. I mean, it's a bummer. Don't get me wrong. Like, I want to read that as soon as possible, but I'm not worried about like it not coming out or there being something wrong. It's fine. It's just pushback, which stinks. But
yeah. So if you haven't read the Thrawn trilogy yet, I would highly recommend it. I mean, that's those three. Yeah, those three books are among our top favorites. Among
Thrawn's
the Star Wars
a good jump off place both ways too. Thrawn's a decent. Because it's a well written story. It's a decent place to start if you are like don't know what you want to read in new canon.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's kind of right in the middle, it has like some overlays of stuff that you'd be familiar with from the movies,
especially
like time setting wise, right? But and also if you're done with canon, or if you want both versions of it, his expanded universe or legends, non-canon stuff, that's some of the best stuff out there. There's 5 books.
Oh yeah.
which are awesome. So he's just such a great character, and he's obviously, we'll get into it a little later, but I would imagine he's going to factor into this new Rebel series too. So Thrawn
Yeah.
is here to stay. He's an awesome character, tons of background from Legends and tons of canon material. So if you're if you haven't gotten into Thrawn and you're into Star Wars, you should start, because he's one of the best things out there.
He also, one of the things the books does too is that when you're watching Rebels, it kind of portrays him as like this evil douchebag, and the books kind of like show you more of the anti-hero type
He
persona of
definitely,
him.
yeah, the books help describe, which a lot of bad guys have, but the big baddies, it's a little bit more power and control kind of thing.
Yeah,
Thrawn has a very specific motive, and it is not what the emperor wants.
right.
But it is like, he is, we won't get into it. We'll have to do like a long Thrawn episode or something. But yeah, he's, when you read the books, you know exactly what he's trying to do. He just happens to be aligned with the Empire at that time, and he's much more anti-hero if you look at it from that point of view. You know what I mean? Than like Palpatine villain.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely see the contrast between, because
That's why he's well written. I mean,
yeah,
that's why he's a neat character. But yeah, if you watch Rebels, he's definitely just a bad guy.
yep,
But
yep.
there's a lot more to it than that. Yeah.
Uh, so I guess moving on. Speaking of writing, there was a in Star Wars comic number 2 written by Charles Soule. I believe that's how you say his last
Yep.
name, right? So he's part of Project Luminous, and there was a High Republic era mention in the comic. I don't know about who the character was, but he mentions, in the days of the High Republic, the galaxy was not settled as it is now. Areas like the Outer Rim were dangerous and hard to navigate. Blah 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 blah. So, if you want to read what else he says, get Star Wars number 2. But what's your thoughts on that? Sounds like they're pushing it
Yeah.
forward.
Well, so I mean, it's expected, right?
Right.
It makes sense to launch it in a few different things, but obviously comics are the most consistent thing coming out right now. So I think we'll start to hear it in different media. They're just going to mention High Republic to get it in there, so we're aware of it, which makes sense. I mean, that's how you would do it. I got a little confused searching for this one, because I read some of the comics. I follow certain series, and then I read a lot of the reviews just to kind of keep up with the general storyline. But I haven't read the Star Wars one, and this is like the reboot of it, or like a different version of it kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this one doesn't like insanely interest me, just because I again, we're canon junkies, and I'm into it, and I follow the little stories like in reviews, but like I'm kind of like out of the whole. There's too much going on between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. Like, go away from that
Yeah.
time. There's just, I don't need every day of Luke Skywalker's life between A New Hope. You know what I mean? Like I'm interested, and that's what I think why we're getting to Luminous, and it's gonna open up. So I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's not in my wheelhouse for things that I'm like jumping for joy after each one comes out. You know what I mean? Like I'm much more interested in the Kylo Ren comics and stuff we don't know about. So I missed this one. I did see the picture. I thought it was Finn. Because the guy looks like Finn.
It looks like Finn, but it's not him.
Right. So I got super confused, because then I read it was by Charles Soule, and I was looking through comics, and I'm like, wait a minute, he just released the Star Wars one, which is like in the original trilogy thing. Was there like a flash forward? Like, why was Finn in that episode, or in that comic? And then so I had to look through it, and it was just a general at that time that looks very much like Finn. So that's where I got confused. But yeah, it's just to mention. It's cool, because I think this is like, we obviously you get caught up when we talk about this stuff a lot, because there's so many leaks, and there's like complete rumor leaks, and then there's like the leaks that are from people who know people, so they're kind of proven, and then there's official news, and somewhere in between the leaks from really good sources and official news, it gets confusing, because it's like, technically I don't think we've got an official like, hey, Project Luminous is what it's called, and it's based on the High Republic. You know what I mean? Those have all been like the good leaks, so we
Yeah.
know it's true. But like Disney, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Disney hasn't come out and been like, Project Luminous is a thing in the High Republic that we're going to do video game. Like, I don't think they've announced that yet. So logically, it hasn't been officially announced. So this is the way you would start to introduce it, is if there weren't all these leaks, it would appear in a comic, and then maybe Resistance or like one of these TV shows mentions it, and then it makes more sense when it starts to come out. You know what I mean? So it does. It makes. I think it makes sense.
I mean,
And they really didn't say much. They just kind of set up that, you know, it was a different time. You know, the Outer Rim was a dangerous place, which also is kind of cool because we haven't seen the galaxy like that. You know what I mean? We had the Grand Republic, which were the, you know what I mean, was like the height of the Republic in terms of its reach,
yeah,
where it owned like everything, and then the Separatist systems were kind of like another powerhouse. So like pretty much the whole galaxy was like on one side or the other, and then you had the Empire. You know what I mean? So this is neat to open up kind of a more of a fledgling republic, where it's like, well, not fledgling. It sounds like it's gonna be like the people who are in the Republic at this time are super rich and super wealthy, and there's like a lot of technology and stuff like that, but it's smaller. You know what I mean? And now they're trying to get into the Outer Rim and do some exploration, which I think is cool.
yeah.
Because we haven't got to see a ton of that, right? Like Star Wars is a huge universe, and there's could be some really cool like Afra stories, where they go searching for stuff. You know what I mean? Not a lot of the movies and the shows have like focused on like that almost Indiana Jones. It's really just Afra. You know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of cool stories that could be told in the Star Wars universe that are kind of Indiana Jones-esque, exploration-esque. You know?
Yeah, they haven't. I'm just
That
going.
genre hasn't been.
I'm just
done.
going.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
I'm just going through the press release on Project Luminous.
Yeah.
There's really nothing.
I think it was mentioned at one point. Like it is a known thing by Disney that Project Luminous is a thing, but I don't think they've officially come out and said anything about it.
I think
High
it's.
Republic and stuff.
I don't think it's a specific.
Thing.
What I don't think it's a specific timeline, because in that announcement they announced
Yeah.
all these different books and shit coming out. So like,
Gotcha.
although I did just see, so Star Wars Dark Legends. I wonder what that is. It's just literally just a logo. That's all it is. That's kind of interesting. I didn't even see that in the original release. So,
But anyways, yeah, I didn't mean to get off point, but that's kind of like, I think it's cool that they're releasing it now, but I always have to check myself, because there's like the crazy leaks that you don't know if they're true, but then there's like the leaks like this Luminous thing that are leaks, but they're 100% true. You know what I mean? Like we know that they're, or not 100% true, but they're based in reality. They're not just made up. So there's something very similar to that happening. And sometimes when that's been out for 3 months and not, like Disney hasn't commented on it, it just kind of becomes fact, and you forget that Disney hasn't like been like, yes, that's a thing. So it's nice to see in a canon material, they say High Republic, they kind of outline a very general picture of what it looked like, and you know, so here we go.
Let's see, not to completely change it, but Dark Legends, I guess, it's a hardcover book. It's going to be in-world collection of spooky tales and ghost stories that would have kept young Luke and Leia up at night.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's interesting, but
it's like the opposite of, it's like the dark version of that Luke Skywalker book, where like different people have anecdotes about their stories about Luke, and some it's like based in truth, but like it's not 100% true.
Oh, that's different. I mean, we haven't really gotten that kind of stuff. So
it's interesting that the universe is big enough that they can write full books on fiction inside the Star Wars universe. Does that make sense? Did I explain that right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like what would be fiction for them inside this fictional universe?
Yeah, like yeah, but that makes sense. So that's kind of, I mean, you have that narrative in the real world. I mean, there's different
but
things.
That's my point. Yeah. Like not a lot of fantasy things then have the fantasy of the people living in that world that you could actually get into. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
It's pretty deep. All right, what do we got next? So that's the High Republic.
Yeah. So as everyone can see, there's a lot of new stuff today. So so the fourth one the Kenobi series. So going through our wonderful Reddit forums, there was one rumor that was leaked, and it looks like it's a description of what would happen in the Obi-Wan series in season
Mm-hmm.
one. And I can read them off. They're really
Yeah,
quick bullet points.
yep.
So number one is Sharad Het would be recanonized with some changes to his character. I don't. Het, I don't. That's not familiar to me.
How do you spell it?
Sharad Het.
Huh. Well, how do you
Hett.
Hett?
Yeah.
I'll have to look that one up. That doesn't ring a bell.
That must be a Legends. That
I'm
must be
assuming
from
it is,
Legends.
but yeah.
Het would go into hiding as a Tusken Raider after Order 66. So I want actually. So then, does that mean Het is a Jedi? That's interesting.
I'll have
hold
to
on.
look into that.
I'm just gonna Google search that real quick. But all right. So number 3. The main conflict would come with Het sensing Luke and figuring out who he is. He would seek to kill Luke out of fear that his presence would lure Vader and Palpatine to Tatooine. Okay, that's interesting.
Okay.
We find out that Kenobi has been carrying both his and Anakin's saber, which we kind of knew already. As many have reported, internal conflict would revolve around Obi-Wan's PTSD and depression. Hopefully we get to see that last scene that Anakin jumps up and you won't make it.
Right.
As May. I just read that. Climax number 6. Climax of the final episode involves Kenobi defeating Het with both his and Anakin's lightsabers. Ooh, that's interesting.
Badass.
And then final scenes are Obi-Wan putting Anakin's saber in the box, not to be reopened until A Wild New Hope. Why the fuck did I say that? A New Hope and Obi-Wan watching Luke from the distance. May the Force be with you. And then literally right under that, someone commented, it could be legit, it could be not. It's still a rumor. So that said,
sounds interesting. So did you look up Het? Who's that?
He was a Tusken Raider Jedi.
From Legends, from comics or something?
I think so.
I don't remember him from any Legends books.
I don't know. It's not saying Legends on it.
Well, I mean, what do you mean it's not saying Legends on it?
Well, maybe it. Let's see.
Are you on Wikipedia?
Yeah.
Typically, if it doesn't say either, it's Legends.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I guess it is Legends. But
are there like pictures of him? Is it like from comics?
Yeah. There's comics and.
Oh, so interesting. I mean, that's an interesting take on it. That he would have to battle like another Jedi, and now there's no Jedi Order, so there would be a disagreement. Yeah, I mean, it could definitely further how effed up, Obi-Wan gets. You know what I mean? Because now he's already like in depression, and now he has to fight another Jedi to save Luke. That's kind of I mean,
yeah, it's kind of screwed up.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, it would be cool to see like a Tusken Raider Jedi. Like that's completely different from what we've seen.
Yeah, it sounds like he goes into hiding as a Tusken Raider, right? Isn't that what they kind of they said in the thing? Interesting. Yeah. But
actually, some of the pictures I just found. Actually, he is. He's not Tusken Raider, but he has. It looks like he's just a normal human. So, interesting. Okay, so I guess it just goes into hiding. What else? It's just
that's neat. I mean, we're pretty far away. We know they haven't even started filming yet, so who knows? But that's an interesting one. Yeah, I don't mind that. Again, like we've talked about, I love Obi-Wan and I love Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, but I just don't know if I'm super interested in that time period in terms of just, again, I say these things like super interested. I'll watch any Star Wars and I love that we're getting more Star Wars. I'm just so hyped for like the new era, right?
Yeah.
Like the High Republic and just brand new stories and just expanding the universe and everything like that. So am I excited about Obi-Wan when it comes out? I'll be obsessed. We'll do episode reviews, you know what I mean? But like it just is on the back burner for me right now because it's like, okay, like I already know where Obi-Wan ends up, and I already know he killed Maul when he was on Tatooine. You know what I mean? So the timeline is shrinking.
Yep.
Um,
Oh, you just ruined
so,
Rebels for
but it's cool.
everybody.
I mean, if you're watching the show and haven't, well, all right.
No, I'm kidding. That finished 4 years ago, so I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not.
We're not the best. We're not the most spoiler-friendly people either. So.
No, we're not. We kind of ruin everything.
We are. I mean, we're pretty good on like the new episodes, but if you haven't watched something that came out like 6 months ago,
yeah,
I apologize.
Sorry.
We kind of mentioned stuff so quick that if you're looking to get into it, I don't think that's a huge spoiler.
Yeah, I guess I ruined.
My bad.
I ruined Endgame with my girlfriend. She.
By the way, Luke is Darth Vader's son, and Darth Vader's Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, if you did not know, now you know. Crazy. Yeah, we just ruined Star Wars for everybody.
All right. So I know this is going to be a quicker episode because my computer was effed up this morning. But so that's Kenobi.
Yep.
What do we got next? You want to do the new Rebels?
Yeah. So there isn't a lot on this. This is just
and this was another good source leak, right?
Yes.
There's no official announcement.
There's no official announcement. So I saw this on both Reddit and Twitter was blowing up. Star Wars Rebels sequel winter 2020, which is fucking awesome because now we're getting Clone Wars. We're getting this. We might be getting Obi-Wan, and we're also getting the Rebels sequel, which is that I am super excited for. You're like the
I always get
possibilities.
confused when they say like winter 2020. So December.
I don't know.
Why not just say December?
And we're also going to get Mandalorian
January,
season 2.
Right. And November is still fall, right? By most people's calculation?
Yeah, I guess. November 21st is winter, right?
Right. Well, yeah, if we're going to get specific. So, like, in other words, so a month and 10 days is what this is going to come out. Like, just say December 2020 or by the end of 2020. Winter 2020 is weird to me.
Yeah, but again, it wasn't an official announcement, so I don't know.
True. Okay, fair.
It's like the Kenobi thing. So
we should do a leveling system where like 1 is a wild rumor, 2 is a leak from a bad source, 3 is a leak from a good source, and 4 is official news.
All right, so
this is like a 3.
So Reddit,
leak from a good source.
The Star Wars leaks Reddit, they actually do that system.
Really?
So, yeah, Kenobi Disney Plus info, wild rumor. That's what it's categorized as. That's why I thought it was funny that you said that.
Or actually, yeah, it should be opposite, right? 5 should be the worst. So that's like a 5.
Yeah.
This is like a 2. This is a good source.
But I don't know if I would say 2, maybe 3.
2.5.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not. So there isn't like
we
it's
don't
not
know
like,
it's coming anyways.
It's coming, but like
2020 is I gotcha.
But like it's not like Matt Martin said it. Right. It's not something like that. So like
I gotcha.
But everyone, I guess, so with the Disney Plus, like the Kenobi stuff, people like what we just went over. People are kind of like, yeah, I don't know if this is legit. I don't know if this is, there's a lot of speculation on that. The Rebel sequel, however, everyone's kind of more so like, oh, that's cool.
I think everybody knew it was coming. I think it's more just the timing sounds quick, which is cool.
But again, it's in a time period that you don't like, so
no,
I'm kidding. I'm just messing with you.
and I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if it happens between A New Hope and Return of a Jedi, I'm kind of burnt out. There's enough there for me. You know what I mean? There doesn't need to be another Skywalker adventure in between those two things. Give me after Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's, or, I guess Clone Wars.
Isn't that when...
I want after Return of the Jedi up until Force Awakens or a brand new timeline. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay.
And I think that's where this Rebels it will take place. I think we're going to get Ahsoka and Sabine searching for Ezra and Thrawn. And my guess would be you're going to get like a dual thing where like you're watching Ezra and Thrawn's story progress.
Yep.
And then you're watching Ahsoka and Sabine's story progress. And
Yeah.
it'll be interesting because it'll probably pick up somewhere after, like Thrawn and Ezra go missing before A New Hope. It'll probably pick up somewhere like after Return of the Jedi. So they very well could be split up at that point and doing different things. You know what I mean? They
Yep.
could be very down the line in their story and already have accepted what happened. And you know what I mean? I don't think we're going to just see them floating, and maybe the beginning of it will be explaining how it happened. But I don't think we're just going to get them like picking up right after they disappeared.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean,
They could. Have you watched? You know, it'd be a really neat way to do it. Have you watched The Witcher yet? Did you do?
I just finished it last night.
Okay, so you know how they do the timeline. Spoiler: if you're gonna watch The Witcher, sorry, I know I suck at this, but
Don't.
you know
Well,
how
just
they
say.
did the timeline for The Witcher.
Yeah, it's just not.
So The Witcher's timeline is different than series.
I mean, that's not a big. That's not a big.
Yeah, I know.
Spoiler.
I'm just saying in case you didn't want to know anything. It'd be really neat if they did that, right? So pick up with Thrawn and Ezra right after they disappear,
Mm-hmm.
and for the first season, kind of jump their timeline and show how they got there, and then and then Sabine and Ahsoka starts after Return of the Jedi, and they're going out and looking for them. So by the time Ezra and Thrawn's story catches up,
Yeah.
is when Ahsoka and Sabine find them, kind of thing. Very much like The Witcher did it. I think that'd be really neat.
Yeah. It would make sense. I mean, I like
That'd be a
that.
cool way to do it.
mean,
I loved the way that The Witcher did that timeline thing. Like that I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, to everyone that's like saying like, oh, it ruined the show and stuff. Like, no, it didn't ruin the show. You just have to. That's how they. It was. I thought it was perfect. I thought they did absolutely perfect. They showed.
You kind of find out in episode 4 or 5 when he meets the younger version of the queen or whatever. So I mean, it's not like it was a big secret to the end.
No, well, the first 3 episodes you have no idea.
And if you've read the books, you know. So
yeah, that's true.
It's not a huge secret. I'm not even talking about it in terms of plot. I'm talking about it in terms of the mechanic of the show. I thought was a really interesting way to tell the story.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It
was completely different. I liked it too. So I mean, if Star Wars picks,
but that could work here. I think that I would dig that because you would get we already know kind of what happens to Ahsoka and Sabine to that point. Well,
yeah.
I mean, actually, we don't because of the Mandalore stuff. So they could do that, but we've seen Ahsoka and Sabine after Return of the Jedi when she comes to pick Sabine up. So like we can pick up from their story there, whereas we don't. The last time we see Thrawn and Ezra is before A New Hope. So you could speed their timeline. I think that'd be neat. That'd be a cool way to do it. Yeah. So is there anything else on that? Did they drop any details or just that?
Nope. No
it
details.
Was in process and winter 2020.
Literally just winter 2020. That's which is again, that's why the leak is kind of like
it'll be very interesting with all these things because not just the leaks, but because everything's kind of like coming out relatively soon, at least the first bits of it. Obviously it sounds like Project Luminous is going to go on for like, if it works, for like 10-15 years. Like this is the next era of Star Wars, but it sounds like a lot of this stuff is coming out in the next year and a half, 2 years, like at least the starts of them. Like I'm saying, this Celebration and D23, sorry, and Celebration and E3, all these conventions are going to be way more interesting to me than they were the last couple of years.
Yeah, because there's no movie looming. It's going to be more like what are we getting? What exactly are we going to get?
We really haven't had anything since like 3 years ago when they announced like Solo, and even that was kind of whatever. But like Rogue One back in that was then the last time because we knew 3 movies were coming out.
Right.
So like it was cool to see footage, but it wasn't like, oh my God, they're doing episode 8. Like no shit. You know what I mean?
No shit they're doing.
But now, and it was still exciting for someone who's into the canon because you did get books and video games.
That's kind of like
that, but there wasn't. Now it'll be like there's a TV show that we're not even talking about that you've never heard of that's coming out in 6 months and it's going to be fucking awesome. You know what I mean? And it's like, whoa, like, that'll be cool.
See, but the thing is, like, I find all these leaks though, like this shit leaks way too easy for some reason. So
you know what's interesting about it is most of them, even the ones from like what we were just saying, like a 2 source, like a good source.
Yeah.
There's enough. That's why I still enjoy the leaks, is because usually there's still enough wrong with the leak that it's still super exciting to hear them say it. And you're like, ooh, and this, you know what I mean? You're like, ooh, that's a little different. You know, it's just kind of like I take it as like these leaks are basically like there is Project Luminous that is official. and it is going to be in a different timeline that we think is called the High Republic. That's really the only stuff that's pretty sure. You know what I mean? So like all the other details, you know what I mean? I think it's fun because I don't think they're dead on, but enough to like it's enough to hype you to go. They're gonna announce something. We're gonna get something new, and then when
So
they announce it, you're like, oh, cool.
so the rumor came from, it's called Kessel Run Transmissions, and they released. I guess they
So
released this leak.
probably like a 3.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess we'd
Yeah,
have to look at it. It depends. I
yeah,
think the 2s are just like probably making Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like that guy has like some contacts, and he's not even right all the time. You know what I mean? But he gets the gist of it right most of
yeah.
the
I
time.
mean, most of the time, yeah. So it's
But who knows? You never know who has a friend and just starts a thing. I think I've heard of the Kessel Run thing. So maybe they have. It's all about like having someone in Disney, right, or in
right.
Lucasfilm. They find out one thing, and that's awesome. So
Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, it sounds. Let me put it this way. It sounds right. It's not a crazy leak. We knew. Most of us knew that there was
it
going
was
to
gonna
be that
happen.
series. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah,
didn't think it was going to be that quick, and it I mean stands to reason that he's been working on it the whole time while working on Resistance because he didn't run the Mandalorian,
no,
but he had a lot to do with it. So yeah,
yeah, that's true.
cool.
All right, so our final news piece of the day,
Yeah,
and this might be a lengthy one. So footage leaks of George Lucas on-air TV series Star Wars Underworld.
yeah.
Yikes! Way before Disney Plus The Mandalorian, there was ill-fated Star Wars Underworld, and I just have an article here that explains it. And if you want to read the whole thing, you can Google it. But basically, what happened was there was a this leaked footage. It's a 10-minute video that was based around a 2010 series. So this was in the works, and you can find this video on YouTube, and it's actually pretty cool. But basically, the story behind this series was that uh, this was originally announced at 2005 Star Wars Celebration, and then in 2011, Lucas revealed there was 50 completed scripts, and that some were written by the rebooted Battlestar Galactica showrunner. But the series never got off the ground because George Lucas was looking for a cheaper way to make the series because of I mean, if you watch the first footage, it's literally all. So basically, the video is like a 5-minute clip of the show, and then 5 minutes of how they made it, and it's pretty damn cool. But there's a lot that goes into it, so I can see how like why he's saying that. Everything's friggin' CGI these days.
Right.
So then, at this point, it's kind of in limbo. Lucasfilm and Disney have not said anything regarding this leaked footage yet. So essentially, this footage, it's a 5-minute, 5-minute clip where it shows some woman in a robe, and she's kind of like on a covert mission to get some secret plans of the Imperial Star Destroyer. You see a bunch of stormtroopers. It takes place right after, what you call it, Episode 3, because it's I believe it's before A New Hope. That's and it in the background is very cyberpunk. It's like Star Wars meets Blade Runner in a sense, which I like. I love cyberpunk stuff. I don't know about you, Ollie.
Yeah,
But it's
I
uh,
watched it. Yeah, I don't know. You don't really get much story. It looked like a high budget fan made film to me. Like the dialogue didn't impress me.
dialogue was
The
terrible.
the
It was
graphics,
terrible.
the FX stuff looked like bad prequel stuff. But
But it's
again, it's
2010. It's from
unfinished.
2010
Right,
though.
that and it's I don't think it's completely finished. Like it's not there's no way it's 100% polished like they had it ready to release. Like they would have still edited it.
Yeah.
So I have trouble with it. Like I don't it's weird to say it did very little for me at all. I knew
Yeah.
this. I knew there were scripts. I knew that George Lucas liked it. I knew what it was generally about, the Underworld thing. It was also related to that 1313 game.
Yep.
It's all Undercity, Coruscant, all cool stuff. I don't know that seeing it did anything for me, other than remind me of how far we've come with visual effects. But again, it wasn't finished. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah.
it's a weird thing to comment on, because I feel like it was almost like just a pitch. Like, these aren't the real actors, and I don't know any of this. I'm just saying, like, it seemed to me almost like a better version of a script. Like, here's kind of the feel. I want it to be underground, like you're saying, like cyberpunk. It's Coruscant. It's
Mhm.
got like a spy feel because it's after Order 66, and like that all got portrayed, but I didn't need to see that to get that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
I
get
thought it
that.
looked terrible. I mean, like, I thought it looked
I
horrible, but I don't think it was completely done. So of course, it could look horrible. You know what I mean?
I th-
It looked like somebody did a fan made film to me. The
yeah.
acting and the script didn't. And again,
Well, it says test
saying
footage on it,
right,
so
it looked bad, but it looked like some like people who do the fan made films, and it would have been like a decent fan made film. You know what I mean? Like, or film. It was 5 minutes,
yeah.
um, but no, it just didn't do anything for me. I know those scripts are out there. I'd be excited to see if they revamp it somehow. And I already kind of knew what the vibe was supposed to be, and this didn't really do anything. Other
See,
than it just is kind of weird that they put that much effort into it and it never got completed. That's the only thing that this struck me as.
yeah, I don't understand that. I mean, there's nothing in here that explains except the cost. So
Right.
for some reason, so basically he said right now it looks like a Star Wars. It looks like a Star Wars feature, but we have to figure out a way to make it at least a tenth of the cost of the features because it's television, and that's what he said in 2011. So maybe this is a way of saying now if you bring it back
Well,
with advances, then it might be a lot cheaper. I mean,
yeah,
you
and
got
that's that whole
Mandalorian,
thing that
so
Mandalorian's doing is
yeah,
like the whole CGI is like a video game render. It's done on like a video game engine.
yeah,
Which I think is still expensive, but not as expensive. So I think that's the whole. Maybe they can bring it back.
yeah.
You know,
I don't know. I mean,
I mean,
I'm
they got
not.
50 scripts written by him, or at least like pitched by him and overseen by George Lucas.
Yeah.
So if they're good and it doesn't contradict with canon, and if there are little things that do contradict with canon, you could probably. I doubt major storylines
Well, you could just
conflict with canon because it's
retcon it
before
like
the.
Rise of Skywalker.
Stop it. But
Yeah.
my point is, the movies were already like he did both movies, and this happens right after episode 3. So unless there's a weird character thing that pops up, nothing should really, nothing should interfere with canon.
Right.
Really, you know what I mean? Unless there's some book that mentions something specifically that you have to avoid, fine. But like in terms of like the major plot points in movies, like this wouldn't mess with. This isn't going to do anything to Force Awakens. You know what I mean? That's too
No.
far in the future. So I think they'd be safe in doing it if they like it. But who
Yeah,
knows?
I think it. I
They've
think
kind of stepped away from everything Lucas, other than
yeah.
the Mandalorian. So
It,
maybe now they're going shit. Like
yeah, I don't know.
maybe we should get back into his his
Uh,
good graces. But
I don't
but
know.
I'm saying this. Obviously, the movies. I liked the sequel trilogy, and the sequel trilogy made a fuck ton of money. So like, they're probably sitting there going, everything works right now. So
Yeah, I don't. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, with George Lucas, I mean, he kind of this footage was it definitely reminded me of the prequels. Like
yeah,
it was definitely
I mean like
reminiscent.
double because
Yeah,
everything. Yeah,
yeah, and but also like I didn't mind the atmosphere. I love cyberpunk genre stuff. So
yeah.
like Matrix or
Hmm.
Blade Runner or that sort of stuff. So the fact that it was kind of attacking that, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool because we don't really you see that in the prequels. You definitely don't see it in the originals. So you kind of see it with Coruscant in the prequels, I should say. So I kind of like dug that like vibe, but yeah,
Yeah.
the acting was garbage. It was awful. Like just the dialogue and everything. And I know it's test footage, but but that also then reminded me of if George Lucas is gonna get back involved, does this mean now we're gonna get shitty dialogue? We're gonna get shitty story writing in
No,
that
because I think
sense?
I think he would get involved. I don't think he'd be into the nitty gritty because the general storylines, which is he's really good at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? I
I would
shouldn't.
want
I
it to
said that
feel
kind of too bluntly too. I'm just saying,
no.
like,
I think I know what you mean.
yeah,
Like I don't think he'd be writing the dialogue for these. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, the I wish they'd keep like the neon. Like I get that feel for Coruscant, but I want it to feel a little bit darker. Like you know the scene from Rogue One where he's on the ring of I think it's Ring of Kafir or whatever that trading post where he kills the other rebel informant
yeah,
and he's walking through the crowded streets. Like
yeah.
I'd want it to feel dark like that. Remember how like dark and damp that felt?
That's
Like that.
not, but that's not his style. That's that George
No, but
Lucas. That's not.
that's Underworld Coruscant with some more neon lights. I don't mean the exact um aesthetic. You could add the neon lights. I just mean the feel of it. You know what I mean?
You know what we definitely need, and maybe I'm wrong. I think we need so when Marvel hit Netflix with those series that were
The
super
darker ones,
the
yeah.
darker, there was gore, there was blood,
Daredevil.
Daredevil, one of my
Yep.
favorite shows. I think Star Wars needs that now. I
Well, The
I
Mandalorian was much closer than the movies.
see it was closer, but it's not there yet. I'm talking like
No, I get it. I agree, but it went somewhere that other Star Wars hasn't yet. That and Rogue One give me hope that they can go darker.
yeah, because I mean
Because if those are popular, you can test going darker than that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, because they definitely hold back on stuff. So like
Yeah.
clearly this footage is not. This is more reminiscent of what George Lucas would do for like it's Star Wars is made for kids. It's kind of
Yeah.
in
It's a
that
little
realm.
less weighty
Yeah,
in that kind of thing. Yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
it's falling into that. But like if they made it more of a
Dude, they could do. There's some that we talk about all the things they could do, but they could.
yeah,
Did you read Battlefront Twilight Company?
oh yeah, yep,
Dude, if they did like a Star Wars Vanguard,
oh
like
god,
Band
say
of
it like
Brothers style show,
oh my god, that
would be fucking awesome.
they
Like
won't do
like
it.
rated R, like that would be cool. That book is so gritty
Yeah,
and so violent. Like that would be a killer series. Like take Band of Brothers and
yeah,
just slap Star Wars over it. And I don't mean in a bad way. Like do it the right, but put that in a Star Wars universe.
hmm
Maybe do it in the High Republic. I don't know what's going on there, but I mean that's when I would dig the Rebel Alliance. That give me that story in between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi when that Vanguards and they're going to Hoth and then they have to battle for Sullust and like
yeah,
that stuff would be awesome. The grunts, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And maybe Luke shows up and they're on Hoth and he runs by, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. But
yeah,
like that would be cool. That I think
yeah.
that'd be really neat.
Yeah, something that or even, oh god, something related to the Sith. I mean, that's you want dark, give them dark, give them like something Sith related that's gonna be
Yeah,
almost like
I agree, but I think you can go. I think they can do. There's different kinds of dark, right? Like they can do it the bad guy version of a show, which would be cool,
yeah,
and it can still not be dark if that makes sense. It can
yeah.
still not be as gritty. Um,
I'm just thinking like
yeah,
if
it
you're
could. I mean,
using like
yeah,
like the dark arts of like the Sith, like that sort of shit, like
they could definitely if they ever
yeah,
dabble into the Bane thing when he first goes rule of two. So you
yeah,
could have like this big battle first season kind of thing where there's a lot of Jedi, a lot of Sith, and you go through the Bane story, and then you could have seasons of stuff where it's just him and his apprentice. If they do the same thing with Xana, uh,
yeah,
go through like dark arts and them searching for temples and staying hidden but doing stuff behind the scenes, and then you have kind of that alternate plot where different stuff's going on in the universe and Jedi are taking care of it and they have no idea, but they come close to catching them a few times but they don't, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
just exactly what happens in the Bane books.
yeah,
That would be killer
yeah.
because he was dark as fuck.
Yeah, and I
He
think
was
it's
a
time for
mean
that.
dude.
I think it's
Yeah.
time for that. I mean, I understand Star Wars obviously was originally made for kids, but it's gotten to that point where we're all
Oh, it's
older
so big
now.
now. You can have, yeah, but you can have everything.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but we're old, like in terms of the
Those
audience,
original kids.
the
Yes.
original kids are older. I mean,
Yep.
we're older.
And
If
you have stuff like Resistance and Forces of Destiny that are
yeah,
bringing in the new generation, and the movies are always going to be that PG-13 line. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah,
So
so
yeah,
give us a
absolutely.
rated R TV show or
Yep.
some like just give us something.
The Mandalorian gave me hope that they can go darker.
Yeah,
It was darker. I agree that it wasn't dark enough. That doesn't need to be the limit,
yeah.
but it went darker. And Rogue One did too. I always forget like Rogue One. Rogue One's arguably darker than the Mandalorian to this point.
I mean, the whole scene
But
with
yeah.
Darth Vader
Oh,
going through that
but even
like
the
chasing
Scarif
down the
when they're running
planes.
on the beach and everyone's dying. I mean, that it was a pretty dark. You know what I mean?
It
That was a heist
wasn't
movie where everyone dies.
it wasn't graphic though. There's a I mean
That was
maybe
more graphic than the Mandalorian, I think. The
no,
explosions
no. But like
and bays going down, yeah. But
graphic enough to
I know,
be like
I know.
rated R. It's just yeah. I
That was the
mean,
closest. They could have made that rated R real easy.
oh yeah, especially the very last scene. Vader, I mean, was killing all of them, but
Yep.
it wasn't graphic. It was just kind of just like he's just killing people, and
That was a little graphic. There were a
yeah,
lot of impaling, and that was as close as you get, I think,
yeah,
in a PG-13 movie.
it was close, but
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it. I do. So ultimately, would you want to see the show come to light, the Underworld show?
Yeah, because I'm like I've said a million times, I'm the kind of Star Wars fan that the more the better for me, because and I mean that in as long as it's making money, allowing the universe to continue. I don't like, even if I don't like it, that's fine. I had the opportunity to like it, right?
Yeah,
And it can exist in the universe, and like so I'm and we've said it before. I know you've said I'm not a very critical person for that kind of stuff, but I love Star Wars, and I went through the time where there wasn't gonna be more Star Wars for a
yeah,
while, you know what I mean, and maybe ever, and so I'm happy for lots of shows to come out and me to like a few of them, because the few that I like really like, is
yeah,
better than not having anything to me, you know. And if a Resistance comes out that's not my favorite, or if a kid's book comes out that's not my favorite, or whatever, or a million comics come out between Star Wars A New Hope
yeah,
and Return of the Jedi instead of other things, but I get The Mandalorian and I get Rogue One, and I get the new movies, even Rise of Skywalker, like I really liked, and then if I get the High Republic, all this Fallen Order, all the great stuff that's come out of it, I'm in. You know what I mean? So yeah, because again, it could be awesome, and if it's not great, then I'll watch something else. You know?
All right, so this will be the first time I'll ever say I could care less about this. It's
Yeah, I mean,
and
don't get me wrong. I guess I answered that question weird. I'm not like, it is not on my list of things that I want.
I
But if it comes out, all right, let's see what it's like.
yeah I'm yeah
You know what I
obviously if
mean?
it comes out I would want to watch it, but like it's not this. I
I'd almost want the script
I
from it,
guess I am
and
kind of
then
getting
I'd read it and say like yes or no.
I'm kind of getting to that point too, where like the time period between episode 3 and episode 4 is just kind of it's getting overdone. And I mean, I do love the aesthetic, the cyberpunk theme. Like I do love that stuff,
Hmm.
but from a story point, I'm like, all right, you know what? There's like it's the same
Yeah.
argument you've said earlier. So like seeing the show, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like it's different, but like unless you're gonna give me some storyline that's completely different from any of the other ones in that time period, then it's
Right.
gonna be boring as shit to me.
No, I
And I
agree.
shouldn't say it like that. Like I'll still like it, but like it's
I'm
yeah,
ready for Luminous.
yes. High Republic. Give me friggin' Darth Revan. Give me
Yep.
something
Yep. Give me a
different.
different timeline.
Yeah,
Because even once Rise of Skywalker came out, and I again, like I've said a million times, I loved Rise of Skywalker,
yeah,
but it made me less interested in even the timeline between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. That still has more interest in me than any other timeline in the movies timelines.
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Like that, if you're going between Phantom Menace and Rise of Skywalker, right?
yeah,
If there's any timeline I'm still semi interested in. It's after Return of the Jedi, before Force Awakens, right?
Yep.
But after that, and I was way more interested in that before Rise of Skywalker came out, and I'm just less interested because Rise of Skywalker just kind of puts a cap on it, right? Like that. So like nothing major could have happened in there that we haven't. I guess it could if you do the Chiss thing, but basically nothing hugely affecting the galaxy can happen in that timeline. So would it be cool to see Luke skyhop around with Ben, and we're seeing a little bit of it with the Kylo Ren thing? Yeah, that's all cool, but give me another timeline. You know what I mean? And I know they're not going to touch forward, with the Rey forward, which I am super excited about, but I know that's not coming for a long time. So I'm fine with that, but let's go. Let's get into the High Republic. Let's get into the Old Republic. Let's get to our new timeline so we can play in the sandbox, right?
Yep.
That's
agree.
what I'm excited about. Yep.
And give me a Radar TV show.
Yeah, well, all that stuff still stands. Give me a great video game. Give me all that stuff. All right, I think I gotta wrap it up.
All right. Well, I mean,
I know that's a rush. Sorry, but the computer was.
What the hell, man? Why are you rushing? So thank you everyone for listening to another episode of the Podawan podcast. I believe this is episode 12. Make sure to check the last 2 episodes. We've been dropping a lot on the news. With Star Wars, there's a lot going around. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to our podcast services. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. I'm forgetting one other, SoundCloud. Give us a follow, give us a like, comment. If you have any questions, obviously drop them. We'll answer them on the show. So with that, catch you later, Podawans.
Later, guys.